Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Obviously, a massive win for us Michigan fans coming Saturday afternoon against USC. But I think even more importantly, we kind of have a lot of storylines to talk about coming out of that win against USC. Most notably, the emergence of Kalel Mullings, I think, kind of taking over the running back room for Michigan. And for the Michigan fans who've been rocking with the fellas for the last couple of really months, going back to the offseason, this was a conversation that we had a lot. Now, you look at the kind of running back that Sharon Moore is looking for in this Michigan offense, it really did seem like Kalel Mullings was checking a lot of those boxes. And although a small sample size in 2023 as a running back, again, this kid's been with the Michigan program for a very long time, but he played linebacker for the first half of his career. Kalel Mullings has always been really impressive as a running back, just never got that much opportunity with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards in that running back room. With the absence of Blake Corum moving on to the NFL, it does feel like Kalel Mullings is kind of asserting himself into that role of that down-to-down ball carrier that's going to get the hard yards required for this Michigan offense to be successful. I don't think we only saw it not only against USC, but I think we saw it the last couple of weeks to start 2024. Want to dive into a couple of different things. I want to start with the discussion about the running back room, how the workload is going to be kind of divvied up over the next couple of weeks. And then, secondly, kind of talk about I guess, what we saw from this Michigan offense and talk about some concepts that we really liked coming out of that USC game. Now, before we get into it, as always, the Michigan fans won. This has been a very hotly contested discussion that we've had over the last couple of weeks. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, opinions on the running back one conversation. All the support that the Michigan fans have shown the boys, it's been amazing. We appreciate you guys more than you guys know. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one. I think there's 3 points that I kind of want to get into. One, from what we've seen and what the numbers tell us, Kalel Mullings has been the better back. Right, you look at it in 2024 throughout 4 games, Kalel Mullings averaging 8.1 yards per carry. The most notable stat for me, 5.3 yards after contact. You go back to say what made Blake Corum so special in the Michigan offense, not only in 2023, but throughout his career, was his ability to kind of get the hard yards, turning second and sevens into second and fives, turning third and fours into third and twos and third and ones, keeping this Michigan kind of in those down and distances that Michigan wants to operate in. Kalel Mullings is that guy. You take a look at 5.3 yards after contact per carry to Donovan Edwards is 2.6. That's the number that I'm looking at the first. I think secondly, you look at missed tackles forced. Kalel Mullings on only 3 more carries than Donovan Edwards. 17 missed tackles forced to only 5 Donovan Edwards has. And then you look at the explosive plays, the 10-plus yard carries. Kalel Mullings, 7 10-plus yard runs to Donovan Edwards' 2. This is not me getting up here and saying that Donovan Edwards is not a good running back, or it's not me getting up there and saying Donovan Edwards shouldn't be playing for Michigan. It's more me getting up there and saying I think the workload should kind of look similar to what we saw in 2023 with Blake Corum kind of being the guy, and then Donovan Edwards being a little bit more that change of pace running back that has the ability to hit the home run play. That's kind of what we've seen from this Michigan offense throughout the first 4 games. I think, secondly, why is Kalel Mullings so important to this Michigan offense? Even more important than last year is staying on schedule. Like, we had a top 10 NFL draft pick last year in J.J. McCarthy, so if we did get into some second and third and longs, we did have a quarterback and a passing attack that we liked a lot in terms of moving the chains. You look at this year, that's just not really what Michigan has thus far in 2024. Like, if Michigan finds themselves in third and long situations, it's probably largely going to lead to a punt. And so you look at Kalel Mullings, he's that guy that keeps you out of those third and long situations. He's very rarely getting tackled at the line of scrimmage. Even if it's only blocked up for 1, he's finding a way to get 3 or 4 and keeping this Michigan offense on schedule. That's even more important than it was last year because of the question marks that I think Michigan has in the passing attack. And I think secondly, and I think lastly, I wouldn't be surprised to see if Michigan just, kind of rides the hot hand. You have 2 running backs that you're really liking, Kalel Mullings and Donovan Edwards. And maybe they're like USC, that Kalel Mullings was the hot hand. There's no question about it. Every time he carried the football, good things were happening. You look at the game against Minnesota, it might be a Donovan Edwards game where Donovan Edwards is seeing the field really well. He's running hard, and maybe not so much for Kalel Mullings. And I think that could be a kind of a way Michigan goes about divvying up the workload is just getting a sense early of what running back is looking better, what running back is feeling better, what running back has a little bit more of the momentum. You see a lot of NFL teams go to that. Like there's very rarely a running back that just stays on the field for 100% of the snaps. You see that a little bit more in college. I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan kind of goes off of that. And I think secondly, I think a lot of Michigan fans feel this way. Look, if you're looking at getting your best players on the field, why not have Kalel Mullings and Donovan Edwards joining Alex Orji in the backfield? You got two running backs that excel at different things, that can do different things. Combine that with a quarterback that certainly can get it done with his legs. I think that opens up a lot of different concepts that Michigan can go to have success on the ground game, which is, probably a nice segue in terms of we kind of got our first glimpse of the Alex Orji offense. What concepts did we like? Like, there's a lot to pull from that game and say, hey, we like those concepts. We want to see them more. And then there's definitely some critiques about what we saw on offense, too, most notably in the third quarter when we had 3 straight 3-and-outs and didn't even look that competitive on the offensive side of the football. Where I want to start before we kind of get into the film is the importance of Michigan to be extremely versatile and dynamic attack. Look, we're going into Minnesota, and Minnesota knows what we're going to do. We're going to be running the football. We are not a very two-dimensional offense as we speak right now. That being said, with Alex Orji, with Kalel Mullings, with Donovan Edwards, it allows us to be kind of multidimensional in terms of how we run the football, but it's vital for Kirk Campbell, Sharon Moore, and this Michigan offense to be, kind of versatile in terms of how you run the football. If you're going to run the football 70, 80% of the time, you want to make sure you're running it in a lot of different ways. Want to dive into a few concepts that going back and watching that game against USC, I'm just kind of saying, hey, I would like to see Michigan go back to some of those concepts. First kind of concept I want to talk about is a lot of the pre-snap motion. And again, I think this is massive, right? When when the opposing defense knows that you're going to run the football, you got to give them different looks. You got to utilize some misdirection. You take a look at this first play here. We're sending some pre-snap motion, not only pre-snap motion, but we're showing Donovan Edwards sprinting out too. I mean, what are we showing this defense here is that we're going to be handing this football off and we're going to be running a little bit of a jet sweep right here. And as a result, look at all these linebackers. Look at the second level defenders. I mean, all their eyes are in the backfield, looking at potentially getting out to the perimeter and going and making a play. And because of that, you got numbers on the backside. And you have Alex Orji just taking, I think two things are really true about Alex Orji. One, we want to get him attacking the line of scrimmage. I think he's a much better football carrier when he's going downhill as opposed to east and west. So not only do you have the second level defenders for USC getting their eyes caught in the backfield, but you also get numbers and you're getting Alex Orji downhill. And again, if you can get this look every single time, like Kirk Campbell's taking it every single time, one-on-one with Alex Orji, the cornerback, squeezing him out to the boundary, but you just see how difficult Alex Orji is to bring down 4 second-level defenders. That's probably the first concept, and you saw Michigan go to it. I wish they went to it more. You look at, again, more pre-snap motion, Donovan Edwards going out. And because they're in man coverage, what does this linebacker have to do? He has to fly out for Donovan Edwards. Earlier in the game, Michigan threw a swing pass to Donovan Edwards that went for 9 yards. It was a very successful play. So you're getting second-level defenders' eyes going in the wrong direction. And then again, QB power. You're pulling your backside guard. You're pulling your tight end, Max Bredesen, and you're letting Alex Orji get downhill. Now, if you block this up a little bit better, I think it can go for a really big play. Michigan blocks it up pretty solid. Alex Orji's getting downhill, being physical, 5 yards. I think for a lot of Michigan fans, we understand that if you can consistently get 5 yards in this Michigan offense on first down, you're going to have not only successful offense, but you're going to win a lot of football games doing that kind of thing. So one, pre-snap motion, getting opposing defenses' eyes in the backfield, kind of using a little misdirection. But I think more importantly, getting Alex Orji downhill, where I think he's by far the most effective as a ball carrier. Second thing I want to look at here is some of the stuff that we did to get to the perimeter. I think this really highlights why I think Kalel Mullings really should be the guy in this Michigan offense as well. Michigan ran a lot between the tackles, which I get is frustrating at times for us Michigan fans, especially when it's unsuccessful. But that's kind of how Michigan wants to do things. And when you can get it out to the perimeter, a lot of times you're going to get numbers. We're going to need a little pin and pull concept where we're going to motion Peyton O'Leary back in. He's got a really easy block on Anthony Lucas here, pinning him down. You're pulling your tight end and your play side tackle. They're getting out in space. You're kind of out leveraging the defense. And I think most importantly, this highlights Kalel Mullings and why I think he is the right guy for Michigan to really be leaning on. He's just going to attack the line of scrimmage. Like I think at times you've seen Donovan Edwards kind of stretch that one out, maybe go for 3 yards and running out of bounds. Clemon put his foot in the dirt and just get vertical. And he's going to be really physical at the point of attack getting 8 yards. And again, if Michigan can continue 5 to 8 yards on first down, you're going to win a lot of football games. Last thing I want to talk about is what the passing attack looked like. And again, it was for us Michigan fans, it left a lot to be desired in terms of what the passing game looked like. That being said, there were a few concepts that I kind of liked. I think this one, heavy play action, where we're going to get our tight end. I mean, look at these safeties. They're what, 6, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. And you take a look at what Michigan decides to do here. We're going to go heavy play action. We're sucking these safeties down. We're going to get a one-on-one matchup with Marlon Klein on the cornerback. If this is Colston Loveland, I think Michigan can live with this. And quite frankly, I thought you saw Alex Orji throw some decent footballs. This is not a very bad ball to Marlon Klein. I mean, maybe misses him by a yard. If Marlon Klein can do a little bit better dealing with contact vertically, this might go for a completion. But I think a lot of Michigan fans say if we get that kind of look with Colston Loveland on a defensive back when he's back healthy, that play can go for a lot. And it can be a successful play. Again, just missing, but not a bad ball from Alex Orji. I actually was, as impressed as you can be in terms of what you saw from Alex Orji throwing the football. I think there's a lot to build off of in terms of what the Michigan offense looked like. And again, it is not very common anymore to see a team run as much as Michigan does. They had a lot of momentum in the first half. They kind of lost it in the second half. I think one thing Kurt Campbell, Sharon Moore need to kind of hammer down is when Michigan gets in these ruts, what kind of concepts and plays can you go to get the momentum back? Because you're not going to win a lot of football games going 3 and out and only running 9 plays in the third quarter. And I think Michigan certainly knows that. We'll see how Michigan decides to, and I think you're going to see this offense continue to, expand as Alex Orji has more time as that quarterback one, as they install more things. I'm excited. Like, hey, what's the recipe? What do we say in the summer? Running the football, controlling the line of scrimmage, time of possession, playing good defense. That's how Michigan won against USC over the weekend. That's how Michigan needs to win the rest of the 2024 year. I thought you saw the offensive line probably play the best game too. So it sounds like the offensive line might be getting a little better as well. We'll cut it there. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.